everyone, welcome back to my channel. Yeah, today's Wednesday and it looks pretty good. Yesterday was also pretty nice, but hello, my name is Daniel. Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm your host, your guy in a wheelchair.
Guy in the chair.
And today we're going to be going over spooky animation. But if you see this guy in your dreams, you need to run. So, enjoy.
This happened to my husband, Jack, a year ago. We had a very happy marriage. He was a nice and sweet husband to me, like a cotton candy, and at the same time, a strong man capable of defeating a lion. However, I don't remember when it began, but he was getting wasting away. Every morning, he woke up screaming and asked me if this was a dream, almost every 10 minutes. And before he fell asleep every night, he shouted like,
"Oh God, please Jesus, protect me!"
even though he had no religion. One day, when I asked him what's wrong with him, he whispered in my ear after looking around with a frightened face.
"For the last few days, the same man's been chasing me in my dreams."
His voice was trembling. I told him, "Hey, Mr. Tough Guy, it's just a dream. What's so scary about it?" Suddenly, his eyes got hugely dilated and he got out of breath. And he said,
"You know the guy next door, Jacob? He died the other day in his sleep of a heart attack, right? Well, the night before his death, I was being chased by that man in the dream. And I fled to Jacob's house, and that man, I saw him entering Jacob's room."
"Honey, what do you mean?" I asked. Then Jack said,
"Jacob was killed by that man."
He started sobbing like a 10-year-old kid. A few days later, while waking up screaming again early in the morning, he fell out of bed. Then he suddenly rushed out of the room. I shouted, running after him, "Honey, you are at home. You are safe." And Jack shouted back,
"No! This is a dream! You are not my wife, you devil! I'm jumping out of this apartment and going back to the real world!"
And he ran to the window and put his foot on the windowsill. I ran to him at full speed and slapped him so hard in the face. Then he finally said with a shocked look,
"Oh, yes, you are real."
I asked what's really happening to him, and he said the man, this time, chased him to our house. According to Jack, the man in his dream was about 12 feet tall and his head took up almost half of the height. He had 3 pupils each and violet skin. When he opened his mouth, Jack saw hundreds of disgusting black teeth. He was in a black suit, and his legs looked like goats. When Jack shouted to him,
"You're just a nightmare!"
the man said,
"I am death,"
laughing shrilly. However, Jack said he was laughing with a crying face, which made him look creepier. While he was laughing, those hundreds of teeth made some ear-splitting sound, like hundreds of metal pieces scratching each other. And Jack's eardrums were so painful, as if those were about to be torn. Extremely frightened, Jack started running away as fast as his legs could carry him. The man also started running after Jack, shouting like,
"Oh, death! Death is beautiful! Beautiful death!"
It made Jack extremely paralyzed by fear. Jack's legs were wobbling and turning to jelly. He kept falling down on the ground, but tried to run and run as if his life completely depended on it. Finally, the man came up to him right under his nose and opened his mouth, shouting,
"Death is beautiful!"
At that moment, Jack bit his own tongue and, luckily, woke up from the dream. When he was awakened, he was terribly bleeding from the tongue and taken to the hospital right away. But even the doctor couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. After long hesitation, we this time visited a shaman. However, as soon as the shaman saw Jack, she shouted with a deathly pale face, "You met him!" I cried on my knees and desperately begged for help. Clicking her tongue, she closed her eyes. After thinking deeply for a while, she opened her lips to speak. "Listen, this is what you must do from tonight. First, sleep in somewhere else you've never been. You must not tell anybody where you are, even your family or friends. Second, before going to bed, put on clown makeup. He must not recognize your face. Third, if he chases you in your dream, just run away. That's the only way you can survive. Do not go into any other person's place, otherwise innocent one will be killed because of you. Run until you reach the river or sea. He cannot swim. Don't even think of going up to a high place. He is faster on the stairs." After saying like this, she kicked us out. That night, Jack went to a nearby motel and slept with clown makeup on. Surprisingly, the man didn't appear in the dream on that night. The next day, Jack was deeply relieved and trying to sleep in the motel again. However, that night, Jack had a dream again of the man. He opened the door and entered the room, but he didn't recognize Jack in clown makeup. Tilting his head, he just kept staring at Jack. Jack slowly got out of there and kept walking away to escape. And the man also followed him for hours, still confused. Then, all of a sudden, he shouted,
There you are!
And started running after him at full speed. My husband had to run away again all night long. That way, there was no way to stop the nightmare. Next morning, Jack became unable to walk on his own and was taken to hospital again. The doctor said,
Geez, how long did you run? All your leg joints and muscles are broken. You're gonna have to use a wheelchair for quite a while.
The next night, Jack had to run on a wheelchair for his life in the dream, and when he woke up in the next morning, he became unable to move his arms at all because the arm muscles were entirely broken. Now, there was no option for him but to be hospitalized. Since that day, Jack desperately had struggled to stay awake. Although the doctor kept asking to sleep and rest for recovery, he just drank a lot of coffee to keep himself awake. He had stayed up all through the night every day. On the third day without sleep, his health looked far worse. He even started kicking up a rumpus in the hospital, freaking out with fear and anxiety. My poor Jack begged the doctor to stop dreaming, on his knees. The doctor injected a tranquilizer, saying,
This should put you in a deep sleep, without dreaming.
Jack grabbed the doctor by the collar and screamed,
If I sleep, I'm going to die!
drifting off to sleep. Looking at him asleep, the doctor said,
Ma'am, your husband is severely mentally deranged. He will receive treatment in the psych ward tomorrow.
Then he left the room. And the next day, just an unbelievable thing happened. In the morning, Jack was found on the floor right next to his bed. He was dead, and his body was already ice cold. He was curled up as if he was attacked hard by something. And what I found on his body was hundreds of red spots, and all of the joints of his arms and legs terribly broken. His tongue was also cut off. The doctor got embarrassed because he could not find a single clue, because Jack was healthy and didn't have any illness, as even I had no idea what killed him. One thing I could think of was that dream. Until now, there are so many questions in my mind that I could never solve. Who was that man, and why? For what reason he showed up in Jack's dream? Everything still remains mysterious. If you see this man in your dream, run. Just run away. And never, ever get caught.
Hey everybody, I hope y'all enjoyed that quick video, but that reminded me of a lot of Freddy Krueger. So if you see that guy, you know you go. I can't run much, but I'd be running then. I mean, rolling like he was, but we know what happened to him in the end. Can rest his soul, but if you like it, don't forget, get one of them, comment down below, and then subscribe. And I'll see you in another video. Bye.